All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Next Possession Sports Podcast, episode 13. We are back to break down our top 5 rankings for wide receivers in the NFL. Kamal, man, this the one that started the whole ranking conversation off.
Crazy part is the person who started the conversation, I ain't got on my top 5.
Yeah, so let's get to that how this started. We talked the last episode about the different rankings that was going around, NFL execs, Madden. The NFL exec one came out, and Keenan Allen said he couldn't bite his tongue anymore. Said, I'm tired of biting my tongue. He said cheetah, talking about Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and the list goes on, are not a better receiver than me. Faster than me every day of the week. But separation, child, please. Obviously, as an homage to the great Ocho Cinco. But that actually had got a response from a few people. Actually, a pair of teammates. And Mike Evans will go on to say, you tagged the wrong Chris Godwin because he had said Chris or Chris Godwin because he really said Chris Godwin in his. So he said, you tagged the wrong Chris Godwin. He said, don't be mad at us. We ain't make the rankings or care about them. I like the confidence, but be realistic. You're not on my level, G. And then Chris Godwin responds, oh, shoot. Explicit. Yeah, explicitive. Don't sweat it, G. Chris Godwin ain't better than me either. So that's how we got here. The whole who's better, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, where's your rankings, top 10. We're here just to discuss top 5. But like I said, it was a lot of smoke, a lot of talk back and forth. Obviously, everybody wants to be graded high, especially by either their peers or people who are in the league. So these NFL execs, and I felt bad for Keenan Allen because I do feel as though Keenan Allen has been for the past few years the most underappreciated wide receiver in the NFL.
He been hurt though. That's the thing about it. Like,
I
really like Keenan Allen, but he can't stay on the field.
But he's been on the field recently.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't, if I'm not mistaken, he hasn't missed a game in the past 2 seasons.
Oh, no. Past 2? He definitely missed one last year. I know that.
But when he is on the field, he's a baller. He's one of the best route runners in the NFL. Correction. So he hasn't actually missed a game. He's played in all 16 games. The past 3 seasons.
3? Dang, I put my foot in my mouth. All right.
3. Well, I mean, and here it says games started. It says games played 16 in all 3. Started 16 last year. Started 14 the year before and 15 in 2017. 100. Basically 100 receptions every year. Almost 1,200 yards plus every year. So it goes on. Consistent with touchdowns, 6 touchdowns every season, and that's not really despite who's been his quarterback over the past couple seasons. So like I said, to me, because he's such a great route runner, and there are a lot of good wide receivers in the league. Some who are flashier, some who talk more. Who are more vocal. That he's not somebody who name gets brought up enough for me in the top 10 talks, top 5 conversation because maybe he's a little bit more quiet because he had back-to-back seasons in the middle of his career where 8 games one year, then followed by 1 game the next. But like I said, he's followed that up with 3 consecutive full seasons basically. But I know you mentioned he's not on your top 5, right? So give me your honorable mentions. And does he fall in that rank for you?
He does. I got like 4 honorable mentions because it was hard for me to.
Yeah,
Like,
wide
yeah,
receiver is a stacked list.
yeah, it's hard. So I go with somebody who's 2 people who are definitely in there for me. Kenny Galladay. And that's just because he knew on the scene. Like what he did last year, he averaged like what? I think like 18 yards a catch.
Yeah, I know.
And
I
he
know
had
he
three different quarterbacks.
led the league in
Touchdowns, right?
20 to 25 plus yard receptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last year with the most of those. And like I said, it wasn't just Stafford throwing him the ball last year.
Yeah. Stafford, you had David Bowe or whatever you call him.
And
It was like somebody else too. And he was still out there. Yeah, he took a page out of D-Hop book.
right.
Yeah, he was he been doing it. And this is a contract year for him.
Mm-hmm.
So he about to go out. And I'm picking this next dude because of his career and his quarterbacks.
Speaking of the D-Hop route.
And that's Allen Robinson. Yeah, like he has been
no quarterback.
He's been consistent. Other than like the couple of times where he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think what was it? He didn't play? No, yeah, he did. But like last year he went over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. And his quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky. Prior to Mitchell Trubisky, his quarterback was Blake Bortles.
Woo.
And he's been consistently over 1,000 yards. Like, could you imagine if he I don't know, he a free agent next year, if he comes to the Eagles. Yes, but this anybody, shoot, even if he had Jared Goff, like just a somewhat competent quarterback. Like you got you got 2 quarterbacks who better running the ball than they are throwing the ball.
Yeah. To me, I love those 2 names so far. I know you got a few more on your honorable mentions. Allen Robinson has all the talent in the world to be a top 10. It is that the injury factor that you spoke of. Like I said, similar to Keenan Allen, so he hasn't really put those 3 seasons together just yet. And then, like I said, he's had some quarterback play issues as well, but his talent level, he's there. He's got it.
And my next 2, one Keenan Allen, and the other one was Amari Cooper. Neither one of these cracked my top 5 because they're consistent, but like they just take over the game. Like Amari Cooper's had his times, but then something he just disappears. So those are my honorable mentions.
All right. So for me, my 2 honorable mentions as well were Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen did not make my top 5, but those are ones that to me were like right on that border of kind of getting in. Obviously, you have other receivers as well. We can speak of Odell, and the list goes on. We talked about Chris Godwin, who had an amazing end of last season. But to me, the 2 honorable mentions that were just missing on the top 5 were Amari Cooper and Keenan Allen for me. And similar to kind of what you said, really for me with Amari Cooper, sometimes it could just be the drop passes. So that's probably what kept him from edging out my number 5 on the list, which was Devontae Adams.
My number 5 was Mike Evans, and I don't know. I felt so heartbroken when I put him at number 5 because like I liked him in college when he was playing with Manziel. It was kind of like it's like he ran a slowish 40, but you put him on the tape and he faster than that.
Yeah.
Like I was scrolling through Instagram earlier and I found one where he just smoked Marcus Lattimore. Marcus Lattimore isn't slow.
Yeah.
He catch everything, jump ball, zone threat, run the routes, all of it. I think my only reason to put him at 5 was that, for like a season or two, he had Deshaun Jackson. So, Deshaun, you got that deep threat like that, they open up for everybody. And now then in one season, he had Deshaun Jackson and Chris Godwin. So it was kind of tough, but and when I put, and I know like 5 seems like, we only name it 5, it's like way down the list, but this list is a lot closer than anybody think. But yeah, because Mike Evans is a dog.
No, Mike Evans is a beast. Like I said, I spoke about having Davante Adams at 5 for me, and it was a coin toss, and I might have leaned a little bit towards Mike Evans being at number 4 for me, and kind of flip flop him, there. I just if Mike Evans had a season with Aaron Rodgers and no other threats, what would we be saying about Mike Evans? Like no one else to spread the ball around to. It's Mike Evans or bust. Like imagine what kind of stats he might have been able to accumulate in that kind of situation. So we're on the flip side, you can say, to make the reason why you maybe knocked him down to 5 is because he had a season with Deshaun Jackson. He had a season with Deshaun and Chris Godwin. He's never had a season with Aaron Jones in the backfield running the way he has last year. He's never been in a situation with that kind of running game, and he's had a quarterback that's just has been inconsistent. So he puts up a lot of yards, but he's all over the place. He can be erratic at times, and I love Jameis Winston coming out of college. I think that he potentially have a bounce back, a second act in his career, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. Not up to this point in his career, he hasn't been. And that's where Davante Adams, who he has had for majority of the time he's been there. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers have had some injury issues, and that hasn't been his only quarterback he's played with, but you have that situation. And the way Mike Evans can go up and get the ball, and it's something to me even when you're not covered, you can still win those. You can still win those battles. You don't have to be wide open. Davante Adams is one of the best route runners in the NFL. We talked about Keenan Allen. We talked about Amari Cooper. Davante Adams is right up there with them as far as his route running ability to create separation. Mike Evans, like I said, isn't going to be as fast. He's not going to run as precise of a route, but he still gets open and he can make plays with the best of them. So I got Davante Adams at 5, Mike Evans at 4.
Yeah, and another thing on Mike Evans, it's like kind of one of those things where like his quarterback threw a lot of interceptions, so is he getting a lot of them yards? But they behind, and James Winston threw for 5,000 yards, so it was a causal effect. Mm-hmm. And Davante Adams was not my number 4. And part of that could be recency bias because the Eagles played the Packers recently, and that's a real hard person to cover. He always finds a way open. I mean, especially with his routes, and then he got very deceptive speed, and he catches the ball blight. So that, like you said, it was a coin toss. So you got at 3.
Like I said, I think the room. Like I said, Davante Adams for me, not being at like I said, I mean, he would have been over 1,000 yards had he played all 16 games last year. He only played 12.
And he'd have been 4th if he went at that same rate.
Yeah. So like I said, he would have beat that. Like I said, talk about 2 years ago, the numbers he put up were out of this world with almost 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. But like I said, coin toss there. Number 3. Obviously, I think we all know who the top 3 receivers in the NFL are. It's just all about putting them in order. And 3 for me. Man, I hate to do this to him, but 3 for me is Julio Jones.
Oh my God!
3 for me is Julio Jones.
Why is that?
Nothing Julio can do. To me, it's just who's above him on the list, honestly. You have like the top 3 receivers are just that elite. I feel like all 3 of them are wildly dangerous in their own ways. Julio is going to be the most athletic specimen, one of the ones you've seen in the history of the game. We know what he can do, and at his size, the route running that he has for a receiver of that size. So Julio is the complete package. But as you spoke about with Allen Robinson, right? And the lack of quarterback play that he's had. As we're going to get to with D-Hop in his career and lack of quarterback play that he has had up until recently with Watson. For Julio not to score, for Julio not to have a touch, like we can blame it on the quarterback, but when D-Hop is doing it with how many back QBs and some of these other players are as well, can it all go there? And I think that while Julio has everything, just recency bias in the seasons that the other 2 have put up, I had to drop him down to 3, only because I couldn't do a 1A, 1B, and 1C.
Yeah. See, the thing with the difference between just real quick, as far as D-Hop is concerned, the thing about him, he still had the same offensive play caller like all the years, where Julio's is constantly changed. I'm just gonna say Steve Sarkisian should have been calling plays in the NFL, period. But so that's me. My 3
Would you rather have different coaching every year or different quarterback every year? Like a different offensive playbook or different quarterback every year? If you were a receiver. Go ahead, but you can go to the next.
Yeah, literally don't know because we talk about it being system quarterback. So if you got a right system, it works. But because we've seen people falter from that, like quarterbacks who's in constantly different systems and they can't get it right, or people with all different coaches and they can't get it right. So it's a good question though. Something for everybody out there to think about.
Yeah.
So my 3 was Michael Thomas. Despite the fact that he was breaking records, as far as receptions. My thing, and I guess no fault to him, part of it is the offense, is that they put him in the slot a lot. And I don't know why I have this weird bias. Like if you're just number 1 receiver, you shouldn't be in the slot all the time. Or like on 3rd down, they shouldn't put you in the slot. Like you should just. I had that ego of like, nah, I'm staying on the outside.
You gotta grow out of that. You gotta grow out of that, man. This modern NFL we talking.
Well, still, but that, and I've seen him struggle with taller corners, like because Michael Thomas isn't that fast, but like compared to some of the other people we have on the list, but I seen him struggle with taller corners. Now he still get his. He still get his. So yeah, that was mine.
So you got Mike Thomas at 3 for you.
At 3.
He came in at Mike Thomas came in at number 2 for me. And I think part of it might just be his consistency. The stats he's put up. Breaking records with receptions in a season. He's been his Twitter handle says it, can't guard Mike. Like that's really what he is. You know exactly where they're going with the ball. They haven't had a second receiver in New Orleans for years. Even if you go back to say Ted Ginn, like that's not a true number 2 receiver. Like they haven't had their number 2 receiver is Alvin Kamara, is a running back out the backfield. They haven't had a big time tight end in a while. They haven't had anybody that was going to, in the passing game, you're going to say we also have to worry about. It's literally Mike. Like they're going to Michael Thomas. Like that's who they're going to. And he catches ball. after ball after ball, and not even catches ball after ball. He catches target after target because he doesn't drop anything. His hands like he has some of the best hands in the league. And we also seen him still perform at a good rate, even when Drew Brees went down and Teddy Bridgewater had to come into the game. So we seen him still perform at that same high level and still be able to be that even when it wasn't Hall of Fame or Drew Brees throwing him the ball. So like I said, recency bias maybe, but Mike Tomlin has just been consistent, and he's a problem. He can move the chains at will if he wants, but he can still get that deep ball here and there also. So Mike Thomas came in at 2 for me.
Yeah, so Julio was at 2 for me. Because, honestly, for me, I think as far as talent-wise, Julio's the best receiver in the league. But you got to match that with production as well. And I think his biggest downfall is the coordinator selection, which affects his quarterback as well. I know how you feel about Matt Ryan, but I think, let's see, who else we got on the list compared to some other quarterbacks on the list? I think Matt Ryan's a little bit better.
But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, Matt Ryan's consistent. Like I said, we know what he's done. He's been to a Super Bowl, and like you said, we know who his coordinator was there, and he lost. You lose that coordinator, and then you're not able to duplicate as much. But they've always had, to me, weapons on top of weapons in Atlanta. It hasn't been just Julio or bust. Like I said, whether you go to Calvin Ridley, we talked about Austin Hooper last episode. You had Mohamed Sanu there as well in that offense. Like, so those are 4 weapons right there on offense that Matt Ryan has had. That those people on offense that Julio has had to help take pressure off of him. And we've seen that when he has his games of going for almost 300 yards receiving and it can't be stopped. Like, I mean, Julio is an absolute beast, and like you said, most talented receiver in the NFL probably, but just best as far as matching out with production that hasn't been there. Then you add in the running backs that they've had. They've had a decent running back core over the past couple years when they've been healthy. When they had Freeman and Tevin Coleman, going back a couple years. But like I said, so is the coordinator? Is it the quarterback? Because we're not even talking about an offense that's just number 1 in the league every year, but your defense is letting them down. We're talking about ones that can't convert in the red zone.
Well, part of the reason is that that one season when they kept taking them out in the red zone. Like, I don't know, Atlanta made some of the dumbest coaching decisions. You go to the Super Bowl, your offensive coordinator rightfully takes a head coaching job, and then the quarterback coach who knows the offense, who's been with him, you let him just walk. And like the quarterback coach is Matt LaFleur. Like, you let him walk.
Listen,
to replace him with Sarkisian, but
listen, we both love Julio. Like I said, we don't want to see Julio have this Hall of Fame historic career and not much as far as success goes with it. Outside of the one playoff run. It's one thing, even if at least they put in multiple playoff runs and they were getting to at least NFC championship games year after year. They literally had the one season, and after that they went back to playoffs.
Julio is kind of turning into the Adrian Peterson of receivers. Adrian Peterson had a lot of success, a lot of records. Ain't have a team to get him there.
Only but so much heavy lifting you can do. So that puts number 1 in both of our books. It's D-Hop.
It's hard to argue. I don't even know if anybody's ever done what he's done in his career with that many different quarterbacks and still do it. And he's probably going to do it again this year. And the fact that he gets to learn from Larry Fitzgerald of all people.
Listen, I'm happy he's finally getting his flowers, bro. Because you know me, I've been I've been like head leader of the D Hop fan club for a while now. Back when it was taboo to say anybody besides Julio, or when people were trying to say Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in the league, and I was telling people no, it's D Hop, is D Hop, and people want to slide D Hop at 3 and say it's AB or it's Julio, but I was pounding tables trying to get people to really see what D Hop was doing. And if D Hop was in a New York and had just half of the fame Odell had, I don't think it would have been a conversation. I don't think it would have taken this long for D Hop to get in his just due. So now, like I said, a lot of people are coming around and saying he is the best. There's the people out there that still feel Julio is. Some people want to put the Mike Thomas up there as the best, but D Hop to me is and has been, and he has been for the last few years.
Yeah, probably like the last at least 3 years.
Yeah,
and and he's gonna get a lot more market time because he switched divisions. He'll be in the LA market.
All them 4 o'clock games.
Yeah, and Seattle always get good games.
Yeah. Listen, and
who else in the division? I always miss a third person.
Well, you got the Rams.
And I said LA.
And you got the Seahawks. So like I said, like Seahawks.
LA, Arizona, Seahawks.
Rams.
That's LA.
Oh, LA, I'm sorry. We didn't say all 4 teams?
We didn't. We only said 3.
Oh, the Niners.
Yeah.
I thought I mentioned them already. But like I said, to your point though, like you have a Seattle team that is a Super Bowl contender every year. You have a Niners team that is coming off of a Super Bowl loss, and the team that a lot of critics feel can be a Super Bowl contender for the foreseeable future. Will it happen? They have to prove it first. They don't have the history that the Seattle team does, but that's just a young talent that people like there, as well as a young head coach. And then you have a Rams team that's been to the Super Bowl recently, that I don't think that people are as high on as they were just a few seasons ago, but still a big market. And now you have this young team in Arizona that has another young hotshot coach, to kind of go along with what you see in LA with the Rams, what you see with the Niners. You bring in Cliff Kingsbury there, and you pair him with a quarterback that can be on one of these top 5 lists very soon. So it's going to be interesting. So like that's going to be one of these divisions that could be for the next couple of years be one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, and it's going to have a lot of primetime games. Like the NFC East is always going to have your primetime games just because of the markets and the history and the teams that are in that division. But when like the AFC North was good, when you have the Ravens, the Ravens, the Steelers, and even when the Bengals were at least playoff contenders, you always had like a tough race. Mm-hmm. And those games were always on. You're always going to be on TV somewhere, and that's how I look at like this team, the NFC West now almost becoming like a new NFC South. How the NFC South has been with a very competitive division. Not the same team winning it every year. It's always a different team. A lot of times the first going to worst because the division just turn over so much. But that NFC West is going to be a very competitive division. And the Cardinals are going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Yeah, and look at every game. Like you're going to have D Hop, George Kittle, and D Hop, Jalen Ramsey, D Hop, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson get all the face time. So
like I said, and then you talk about Jamal Adams that's over there, and then you go on the Niners side, and you got Richard Sherman there. So like, there's always going to be this kind of defensive versus offense thing, and then just the offense they have, I think, is going to put up a lot of yards and a lot of points. When you talk about if Kenyon Drake can continue off of what he did the second half of the season last year once he got to Arizona, with the Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, D-Hop, like it's going to be a fun team to watch, but D-Hop is going to lead them. It's going like we've seen what he's been able to do in Houston.
Yeah.
Even obviously maybe not able to make the playoffs before he actually got a quarterback, but he has big games and he's always balling. And I guess he's just the best receiver in the league to me. He can make the spectacular one hand, two hand sideline catch, and then he can just
all of them
get open at will. Like he can get you the yard after the catch, put you in the spin cycle. Like he does everything. He does everything.
And not only that, because like we said, Kyler Murray on the come up, and no slight to Deshaun Watson. I want to make that very clear.
No.
But Kyler Murray has a stronger arm than Deshaun Watson, so it means to be more down the field catches for DeAndre Hopkins.
Listen, I don't want to sit here and that like Watson hasn't had a good quarterback the past couple of years, because he's had a great one. But it's really just before Watson got there, when he was playing with the Brandon Whedons of the world and was still putting up like big game numbers. So that's just what, like I said, I think put him at the top of my list years ago, and then he's just always just remained that same consistency of excellence and greatness at the wide receiver position. So number one for me, D-Hop.
Mm-hmm. Same.
We'll be back with another episode soon. Running backs rankings coming up next. Peace.